Hello there, everyone. Welcome to my channel where life is BDSM and we don't know the safe word. Today we're going to be going into r/ entitled parents. I hope you enjoy. If you do, like and subscribe, and let's get started. Karen broke my cubes for, quote unquote, teaching me a lesson. So, this happened 4 years ago. Also, please don't mind if there is any grammar or spelling mistakes. I'm not good at English. I was 11 at the time, and my mother decided to throw a small business party because my father got a promotion at his job. There were a lot of guests. I was busy playing with friends when I heard a loud noise from my room. Obviously, being a dumbass, I ignored it. Sometime later, I heard it again, and my friends told me to check up on it, just in case a shelf unscrewed itself. It happened a lot at my old home because the cement used was faulty. I go in and find some random kid who I don't know is inside me and my sister's room. Looked about 9, and was literally banging on my computer's keyboard. I obviously tell him to stop, and then he decides to throw a pyraminx at me. For those who don't know what a pyraminx is, it's a type of Rubik's Cube, which is triangle in shape. I was, and still am, really into cubing, and had quite a few cubes on my computer desk. The pyraminx pointy side hit me in the face. I was standing kind close to him, so it hurt. I screamed, and my friends came running in, along with some adults, and the kid's mother, who I didn't recognize at the time. Obviously, first everyone helped me get up. The pain was slowly reducing at that point, but you could see a highly visible mark on my face, and I was asked what happened. I tell them everything, and they started questioning that kid. His mother then goes in front of everybody and tells them there is no way her kid did this, and I am lying. Then she proceeds to guilt trip me by saying that it's my fault because I didn't lock the door to my room. The room was on the second floor of the house, and the party was happening in the garden. My father then came in and started arguing with her, and all the adults took his side. This lady starts to get more and more angry, and calls me very, quote unquote, wonderful and beautiful names, sarcasm intended, which my father didn't appreciate, and he told her to leave. She then decides to grab a lot of my Rubik's Cubes, including a GAN cube. For people who don't know, GAN cubes are hella expensive, and this cube in particular was around $30, and threw them out of the balcony. And then decides to pay like $8 and said, he deserves that. Anyway, take this money and buy him those cubes again, with a strange face. Here's the rest of the conversation. Father, those cubes are worth more than that. The lady said, well, I know the economy. Yeah, she said that. And I know how much a Rubik's Cube costs, and those don't look to be more than $8 to me. Plus, I am just teaching him a lesson for lying. Father, what proof do you have that he is lying? You're basically making up stories about him, and you threw away his favorite cube. He was talking about the GAN, which was more than $20. Well, it's your fault that you decide to buy your kids expensive toys and spoil them. This was the only expensive thing I had in my cube collection. Father, it's my money, and I bought it for his birthday. Also, you are here arguing in my house. I'll appreciate if you pay the proper amount and leave. Lady, nope, $8 is all I'm going to give. She then proceeded to put the money on the table and walk out with her kid, who is still trying to break my keyboard like it's his. I later found out he is really short-tempered, and his mother never scolds him for it. My father then locks the door, and some adults hold her while he calls the police. She ended up paying a good amount of money to us as a fine for several charges, which my father never told me about. Because of that, I always believe in Karen stories. Because I know people like this actually exist. An entitled father tried to get me kicked out of the store for having big chesticles. So, the only reason why the entitled parent in this story didn't go to prison is because I was 18 at the time. But the fact that this happened the way it did still pisses me off. So, when I turned 18, I started working at a call center and often walked around the city a lot in order to avoid my toxic mother. Yes, I know what you're thinking. But I was safe and always had a form of self defense. I was young, but not stupid. Anyways, that year I experienced another growth spurt and went from a C cup to a double D cup, and I was getting a lot of weird looks when in public. As much as I hate to say it, I was pretty young and naive, so I never thought it was because of the way my body changed. But I preferred to keep my distance from people. One day, I decided I was going to go to Walmart so that I could pick out some yarn for a crochet project I wanted to work on while at work. We were allowed to crochet as long as we didn't avoid the calls that were automatically answered on our systems. While I was checking out the yarn, I noticed a kid, who looked like he was 13 or 14, standing on the end of the aisle watching me. Thanks to my history of getting bullied and beaten up, I immediately grew cautious and started debating if I wanted to get my yarn here or go to Hobby Lobby across the parking lot. Before I could make a decision, an adult man came up and started leading the son off. So I started to relax and think I was overreacting. That is, until the entitled dad came back. Entitled dad, excuse me, but where'd you get your implants? They look so real. Eh, excuse me? I was really embarrassed and shocked, and I was already getting creeper vibes from this guy. Entitled dad, your implants. He waves his hands in front of my breasts and gets uncomfortably close to me. Where did you get them? Me. I was at a loss for words and didn't know if he was serious or being a creep overall. At this moment, the kid came up and poked my right breast, and I instinctively smacked his hand away, not caring if he was a kid. Excuse me, but you really shouldn't do that, especially to a woman. It's not polite, and it's considered SA and SH. Entitled dad immediately got mad at me and started screaming at me not to touch his son. He said that it was my fault, and that if I didn't want attention like this, I should keep my fun bags put away. I was in tears and looking around for an escape, especially since the more the entitled dad yelled at me, the closer he got to me. He started telling me that there was no way my breasts were real, and that he needed to feel them to know for sure. He even told me that I needed to let the entitled son touch them, so he could learn the real difference between implants and breasts. Remembering the fact that I had my pepper spray in my bag for any occasion where I needed to defend myself, I usually had a knife too, but that seemed a bit extreme in the heat of the moment. I pulled the can of pepper spray and told them to step back and get away from me. At this moment, an employee turned the corner. Having heard us yelling, he saw me holding the pepper spray. He freaked out and called a manager before coming up and yelling at me, demanding to know what I was doing. Thanks to me being in tears, the entitled dad was able to butt in and started lying to the employee that I was seducing his son, and pulled my pepper spray out when the dad tried to come to his son's rescue. The entitled son immediately started agreeing with the entitled dad, and the employee was already saying that he was going to call the police, while the entitled dad demanded that me and my big breasts get kicked out of the store. Thankfully, at that second, one of the co-workers, a big burly guy who often gave me a ride at night, After hearing that I took a taxi home at night because my mother refused to teach me to drive, rounded the corner, leading the manager right to the mess. The manager demanded that everyone shut up and calm down. And when he had, he turned to me and asked my side of the story. I told him how the entitled dad insisted that I needed to let them feel my breasts to see if they were real, and how I had already explained that I wasn't comfortable and didn't want their attention. The entitled dad backtracked on his story and tried to defend himself and the entitled kid, saying that it was all for educational purposes, and lied that I agreed beforehand. This is when my coworker got mad and pointed out the camera at the end of the aisle, reminding him that it would have caught everything. The entitled dad and entitled kid both went silent for a moment before making a break for the exit. The manager took off after them, yelling at them to stop, and my coworker berated the employee for threatening me the way he did. Of course, the entitled dad and entitled kid got away, but the employee was fired, and I never went back to that store by myself, per my friend's request. Please, teach your sons to respect women, and don't harass women. Plenty of us are insecure of our bodies, and don't want the attention our bodies attract, and we appreciate it if you don't make things worse for us. Also, never assume that a woman's body is fake, or that you are entitled to touch it. Facts. No, Karen, Spencer's ain't a babysitter. This one happened a few months ago. There's a mall by my house that has a Spencer's in it, and it's one of my favorite stores. Now, if you've never been in a Spencer's, oh boy, you're gonna want to listen in. Really, a Spencer's is kind of like Hot Topic, except better and more adult. Adult as in profanity. Adult as in drinking, weed, naughty toys, and some other adult products. What's that? Oh yeah, naughty toys. When you go into a Spencer's, you'll see apparel like t-shirts, socks, wallets, standard stuff like that. There's also piercings and joke gifts, stickers, etc. For adult stuff up front, there's buttons and pins that have profanity on them, as well as drinkware and stuff like that. Now, there is adult anime mixed in, but it's not until you get to the back of the store. If you go into the back, you would be blown away at the 180 the store takes, transforming into an adult naughty shop. To be honest, it's not something one really expects, but it's fine. They got some good stuff too. Now, our story takes place on a thunderstorm Wednesday. The power has cut out a few times, and the mall is essentially empty, as some people don't want to get stuck inside when the power cuts. I'm digging through the buttons when I hear the pitter-patter of running footsteps. There's a kid in here. Usually they're kids, but with a parent in tow. Kind of like a shield between their childhood innocence and the vibrators in the back. Lol. But this kid looked 8 or 9 and was all alone. That was a big no-no. Especially at the place I work. You cannot leave a kid under 12 alone. He was running around the tight store like he owns the effing place. One of the employees says, "Hey, hun, where's your mom? Are you alright?" You know, the standard stuff. And the kid goes, "My mom said you would watch me." Silence fills the store. The employee asked what he meant by that, as this was a Spencer's and not a babysitter, and then the power cut out for 0.5 seconds. When the lights flipped on again, he was gone, like a ghost or something. Well, okay then. She calls the security up, and guessing by being near the counter, I could hear, okay, we've been looking for him, on the other end. So via one of my friends who works there, Karen was at a nail appointment in the lower level and let her child run around the mall because they will take care of you. When security finally found her, she went apeshit, apparently telling them that they had no right and that he's a good kid and blah blah blah. I've seen these situations so many times at malls. Like, why the heck do entitled parents just drop off their kids anywhere and expect other complete strangers to watch them? The people who gotta work mall jobs have enough of this stuff to deal with. Welcome to the end of today's video. I hope you had fun. Here's a Twitch clip that I took off my Twitch channel to help you relax after such strange stories.
My hand. Well, that's gonna make jerking off a bit funny. That's gonna make self-fun time kinda different. Okay.